I don't know if it's just because Pokemon Legends Arceus did so many things right, or if it's because Quaxly, Sprigatito, and Fuecoco look amazing, or if the 100+ degree heat is just getting in my head, but I have a feeling tomorrow is going to be amazing. The new Pokemon Scarlet Violet trailer dropping at 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern is bound to show off why Gen 9 exists, like what makes this generation worth being a new generation. And there is a ton to get excited about because it seems like everything's lining up for Pokemon to take the biggest step it's taken in many entries. Today we're talking all about what will be shown tomorrow, what my expectations are, and what I really want to see to cement this as the holiday hit it's inevitably going to be, but the holiday hit that delivers. So what's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Hit that like button if you're excited for Scarlet and Violet, and let me know what you're expecting tomorrow in the comments down below. We do have precedent to go off of, and based on the Sword and Shield trailer that took place in early June, they're going to show a lot of gameplay. They're going to show a lot of what makes this region special, what makes this Pokedex special, and what makes this game special. Now, starting with the Pokedex, I have a feeling it's going to be big. I've seen some rumors around that, hey, this Pokemon set is going to be substantially larger than the recent few. If we go back to like Gen 5, they had like 150 some, they messed with 130 before that. Recently it's been in the 80s, and that's still a fair amount of new Pokemon, but I feel like given the open world nature of this game, they're gonna pack it in. They're gonna pack in a bunch of new creatures, and that to me is exciting, especially based on the initial starters and how well designed they are. I feel like this could be one of the best designed new gens yet. We've had our high points, we've had our low points, but I am so excited for the new Pokemon, to find new favorites, and to see sort of thematically how this region that we think and kind of know is based upon Spanish culture all ties together in the actual Pokemon that inhabit this region. So I fully expect to see a handful of new Pokemon, and maybe even more than a handful, depending on how many open environments we see. I also fully expect to get the Legendaries unveiled. They gotta show us those boxes. They gotta start aligning us. Team Scarlet, Team Violet. Right now, I'm feeling more like Scarlet, but I could easily be convinced to go Violet. Two cool colors, two cool names. And we'll see the release date, which inevitably is going to be in November. It always is early to mid-November, so you can get prepped and ready for the big holiday shopping season, prepped and ready for all those Black Friday bonanzas, and to get Nintendo lined up to just have the top-selling game of the holiday season. Legends Arceus sold insanely well, Sword and Shield sold incredibly well, and this will probably sell better yet. Because I feel like Pokemon's at a high point after Legends Arceus took steps. And that's the next big thing that we need to see. What steps are Scarlet and Violet taking? Yes, new Pokemon, inevitable. Yes, Legendaries, boxes, and release dates. But how does this game distinguish itself? In these early trailers, we usually see at least a hint of the mechanics that really make this generation unique. Now, for Sword and Shield, it was a musically driven trailer. It wasn't one of those overviews where someone's talking through specifics, so I feel like it's more of a general overview of what the game is all about. And I think an open world is kind of perfect for this format. And honestly, I would not be upset if the main gimmick or feature they focus on is just the open world. Like if they don't even have a new Gigantamax, Dynamax type thing, I'd be okay so long as the open world is fleshed out and evolved beyond what we saw in Pokemon Legends Arceus. We're talking about a big dynamic world with battles and catching and towns and trainers all linked together in much more of a traditional Pokemon flow, but with the architecture of Legends Arceus and with the framework of an open world. And if the graphics and performance are up there, if they're improved, I think this can show super well. Honestly, I think open world shows much more excitingly, much more hype-inducing than, oh, we've got an even bigger evolution. I just think the idea of making Pokemon what it's always meant to be is going to be really huge for people. It'll be really huge for me if they do it right. Now, how they handle catching after we just had a complete 180 in how catching was handled, how do they handle battles after we had a complete immersive and seamless experience is going to be very interesting. I don't think that they are attached to the Legends Arceus system really in any way. These games are clearly being developed by different teams simultaneously. They could have different philosophies, they could build upon each other, or they could exist completely separate. I wonder how that's going to be received, and I wonder what route they choose. I personally feel like they will not utilize the catching mechanism seen in Legends Arceus in Scarlet and Violet. I think that would be too much of a departure, but we'll see. We will see. Maybe they've come up with an entirely new way, and they're going to have to expand upon the wild area introduced in Sword and Shield of why this is more special, why this is more truly open, why this is more necessary for Pokemon as it moves forward. In a lot of ways, this is the one we've been waiting for. I feel like Sword and Shield was getting their toes wet on Nintendo Switch. Legends Arceus is kind of like the secret project, and then Gen 9 is like, okay, now this is the killer app. This is totally mid/back third life cycle of Nintendo Switch. The OLED is out there, the light is out there, the Switch is out there. Let's make the best Pokemon we can. One of those upgrades could be voice acting. It's unlikely, but it's something that has been talked about forever because Nintendo games typically don't include voice acting, but so many other games do. Most other games do. And it's really fun when we do see a more involved story from Nintendo. I'd say this generation, they've been better about story than ever before, so could one of the steps forward for an open world Pokemon game be that it is voiced and fully voiced? I think that would be really awesome. I think that'd be a really big step forward. I know they're traditionally just read and go to the next slide games, but RPGs can be amazingly immersive both ways. You putting your own personality into it or getting the personality from the game. And I think it would help Pokemon Scarlet and Violet stand apart and stand next to the other giants of gaming, right? Sony is probably about to release God of War Ragnarok. Microsoft was supposed to release Starfield. Pokemon is very different, but I'd love for people to say like, wow, the new Pokemon is taking as many steps forward and making as many modern changes as some of these other titles. Obviously, they don't need to be like those. Pokemon has its own thing, and that's great. But I still think evolution is important. Legends Arceus showed us that it's possible, that their mind's on that topic. This should be the next step. I'm also really eager to see the gym structure. How do they handle this? And is there any sort of flexibility? An open world just breathes the idea into your brain that maybe I could go anywhere. The routes are more interconnected. The cities and locales are more accessible. Is there a way to create a game that still has difficulty, that still has progression, but allows you to kind of go in any set direction? And honestly, I think one of the best methods for this is to have a sort of like spoke and wheel system where there's major hubs and then you can go one of a couple directions, and then major hubs and can go one of a couple directions. Because I do worry about the difficulty of the game from start to finish if you can go anywhere. How are we sure that the Pokemon Company will create an adequate way to handle dynamic difficulty as opposed to, oh wow, I powered up and by Gym 2, I'm just cakewalking. I went to this one first, I got this better ability, I got this better TM, I'm ready to go. I don't want to see something where difficulty and challenge is sacrificed for just wide open, go wherever you want. I think that will make unique adventures. I think that'll make interesting stories to tell, but I do hope that they find a way to put in difficulty. And they found ways to build upon endgame mechanics, to build upon extra features, to build upon different dynamic battle situations. So I have faith that they will find some way to make this game challenging, but I do hope the main story is structured in a different way, but not like crazy different. And I'm wondering if they will go about sort of the Legends Arceus styling of having more side quests, of having like quests in general. If this is going to be open world, more than just a wild area where, yeah, you can catch Pokemon out in the field, what do they do to establish that? And what do they do in this trailer to convey that? Because obviously big areas, yeah, that's open. But do they show ways that this world and this game benefit from choosing that genre, right? From saying instead of just a JRPG, we're going open world JRPG. And I hope that tomorrow's trailer, and I believe it will showcase why that's special. If they have time to squeeze in something about a new evolutionary form, that's great. But if truly the new thing here is open world and they do it well, I'm fine. We have plenty of different evolutions, plenty of mechanics. I'm sure there'll be eventually some regional evolutions, right? Some regional forms, and maybe we'll see some of those variants in the trailer. I'm expecting this to be 3.5 to 5.5 minutes. It's a very specific range, but it's based on what they've done with past Pokemon trailers. The Sword and Shield trailer, that is kind of the parallel here, the equivalent, was 3.5 minutes long. And you'd be surprised how much you can show in quick moving segments, especially with no voiceover, with no like description, how much you can really reveal. And we will go through and find all the details and see exactly what this game is about. Now, two things that I'd love to see that I don't think we get tomorrow are, one, evolutionary forms for the 3 starters, so I can narrow in on who I want to pick, because they're all awesome, but I want to see where they go from here, and that would be fantastic. It's usually reserved for later in the marketing cycle. And then I also love to see the end result performance. But as we've seen in past Pokemon games, it's not something that really shows up at the beginning. So if we do see frame skips, if we do see fuzziness, if we do see things that make us scratch our head and say like, it's not looking that beautiful, pause and realize that this is kind of always the protocol and course for Pokemon. I'd love it if they would showcase the best looking product when they showcase it, but that usually comes later in the cycle. Remember, we've seen them fix up frame rate. We've seen them even like kind of change up little nuances in the art. We've seen them do a lot of that correction towards the end of development. And there still is about 6 months until this game comes out, so they do have time. It probably won't look perfect, but I do hope we can recognize some step up, at least from Sword and Shield and hopefully from Legends Arceus as well, because that's going to go a long way to making this feel like a bigger, better, more alive world. And that's what they're going for, right? It's open world, it's Gen 9, it's a new region, it's trying to feel like something fresh. And I feel like Pokemon Legends Arceus was the Pokemon company saying, the cuffs are kind of off. We're not as tied to the old as we used to be. We can make something new that still is very, very grounded in Pokemon lore, but feels fun and fresh for a new audience, a new era, and a new Generation 9. So let me know in the comments down below what you're most excited to see tomorrow, what you're hoping from this, what you don't think we'll see, and then come back tomorrow. We'll have full coverage of the trailer, every detail, all the new Pokemon. I cannot wait. Like I said, I have just this sneaking suspicion that tomorrow is going to be phenomenal and fantastic, so I can't wait for it. Thank you so much for watching and sharing in this fun event with me. I love you all super much. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Go Fuecoco, and until next time, SwitchForce out.